Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we are back again for another episode of The Real 50 Over 50. And today we have Shannon Giordano with us, and she is from Serendipity Social Media. She's a social media strategist, and she helps business owners get more leads and build a following by using social media for good. And I love that because that's how I use social media too. Welcome,
Yeah.
Shannon. I'm very happy to have you join us today. If you've got any questions, just put them in the chat and we'll answer you. If you're watching on the replay, tag us and we'll come back and keep this conversation going. So let's dive right in and let's talk about what happened when you turned 50.
Ooh, it's so funny. I think it was a bigger adjustment to become an empty nester at 54 than it
Mm,
was to turn 50. Like, I didn't have any part of it too. I turned 50 just before COVID. So then, of course, the world imploded and everything changed. I think it's just sort of a number. And I always think about the people that I know that are 50 that are living really vibrant lives. And so then I don't feel like it impacted me to a great degree, except that you do kind of feel like, okay, now I'm really midlife,
yeah.
optimistically, right? If you're going to live a super long life. And,
Mhm,
what do I want to really be doing with my time? What do I care about? What do I think about? So I think maybe it made me a little more introspective.
mhm. And then, so how did the empty nest kick in?
It's been crazy up and down. So I have twin boys. They're freshmen in college. And
Mhm.
um, when they first left, I was really sad. And then I got used to the empty nest feeling nice, like your house stays
Pretty
clean,
quickly,
your
right?
grocery bill is not so big, you can eat when you want to eat. And I really enjoyed it. And then, then they'll come home for a break. And then when they leave, I get sad again. And so I've tried to just
Mhm,
sort of flip it on its head and think, what do I want to do? So I started taking
mhm.
voice lessons and I tried out for a musical. And I'm in the midst of a
Yeah.
musical right now. I had the opening weekend was last weekend. I have two more shows this coming weekend. And it's called Songs for Grown-Ups. It's all about
Mhm,
midlife, which I thought, perfectly cast. Here we are, all
mhm,
at midlife, right? So I'm trying to look at empty nest as an opportunity and 50s,
mhm,
being in my mid 50s as an opportunity rather than an ending or like that I have to rebirth or all of that. I just
mhm.
want it to be, what things do I want to be doing, spending my time with?
Did you sing in the past?
I sang a lot in high school. So I was that like musical theater kid, and I really
Mhm,
contemplated majoring in musical theater in college, and I didn't do it. I continue to sing here and there in choral groups or choirs, but I haven't been on stage like in a musical since 1987.
oh, wow.
So it's big. Like my mom would say to me, "Oh, you've done so many musicals," and I was like, "Mom, not since 1987."
A few things have changed since then.
I mean, maybe in a way I'm a little bit more fearless than I probably was back then. I think I
Yeah,
cared more about how I looked, what people thought
yeah.
about me, but more fearful in like, can I do this? Can I really
Mhm,
remember lines and song lyrics and words, like all that
mhm.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's been interesting, really good, a great experience and a
Oh,
huge
that's
growth
good.
opportunity.
Yeah, that is a huge growth opportunity. That's amazing. I love that. Um, that is so cool. So, like, are you singing a lot in this show?
Yeah, so I'm in a bunch of ensemble numbers and I have one solo. It's called
Oh,
Diary of a Homecoming Queen.
mhm.
It's cute. It's about, I mean, the best day of her life is as a homecoming queen, which I was not. But it's a sweet song. It's cute, nostalgic.
Mm. That's really cool. That's great. I love hearing that. And your boys are doing well in college?
They are. They are doing really well. And they both went to two different schools. I didn't know how they would do separate from each other. I think it's been a big adjustment for them, but they're
Mm,
getting there. They're
it
they're
is
both
a
on
big
athletic
adjustment.
teams that they really enjoy, and they've made
Mm,
friends, and they're doing great.
that's good. It is a big adjustment,
Yeah.
particularly when they're like, they've got their space, you know? My son had, like, that was his thing. He's really happy now he's in an apartment, but the dorm was challenging for him.
Yeah, it can be. And like navigating the first time you get sick away from home and your
Yeah.
mom or your dad's not there to go to the pharmacy to pick up your
Mhm.
prescription or, you know, yeah, just all those kinds of things that you don't realize you probably didn't train your kid well for because I would never make my kid go to CVS to pick up their own prescription. Of course, if they're sick,
Mhm.
I'm going to go get it for them. But then here they are at college. They're the only one that can do this for themselves. So,
Yeah, yeah, and my son was, class of 2020, so he started college during COVID.
oh, yeah.
So, we didn't how do you even plan for that?
Yeah, that was just such a crazy, crazy time.
So it was very strange.
Yeah.
I'm very glad he was only an hour from home.
Yeah, it does make a difference. I think that it's nice to be far enough that you feel like you have your own spot, your own
Mhm.
place, but close enough if you really want to come home and sleep in your own bed for a night, you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've had to go get him a few times.
Yeah.
But now he's a senior now, so he's doing well, but, the first year was hard.
It is hard. There's just everything is new. It's all the adulting that's hard, I think, the hardest part. It's not even the academics that are as hard, it's the adulting stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, let's get back to social media. So, I love that you use social media for good. I have been doing that for years, and I've kind of fallen a little out of love with it because there's just a lot of divisiveness going on. So
Yeah.
I try to pour as much love as I can into social when I am on there. So what are some of the things that you do, and how do you work with clients, and how do you get them to buy into this whole idea?
Yeah, a lot of clients who come to me will say, there's so much noise. How do I stand out from the crowd? How do I do this? How do I navigate this? And I kind of flip it around a little bit. Like I look at it as it's one tool for building relationships with people. So you
Mhm.
don't want to think of it as like I'm promoting all the time. I'm sharing this thing. I want you to know I'm doing this thing. It's more that you really want to get to know the people. You're trying to create a community, right? Like you're trying to create people who you want to do business with, you want to reach out to when you need services. You want them to look at you the same, in the same way. And you don't have to be the person for everyone. There are a lot of people who do what I do, and I don't need
Mhm.
everyone in the world to think that I'm amazing at it, but I just need the people who really resonate with my
Yeah,
style, you
of
know?
course, and how many clients do you actually need, you know? You're
Exactly,
one person.
exactly. There's plenty to go around. And so I think
Exactly.
some of the most effective posting or sharing is sort of that insider, like insider baseball, whatever they like behind the scenes. Here's who I am. Here's something that
Mhm,
I did that was silly or
mhm.
wasn't really what I meant to be doing. Let your
Yeah,
personality shine through. Don't look perfect.
yeah,
Don't be, you got to just be who you are because then the people that are really meant to work with you will find you.
yeah, and they get glimmers into who you really are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that. So now this is gonna be fun. We're gonna do a stop doing this and do this instead little segment here, okay? So,
Okay.
what do you either wish or advise people to stop doing that just doesn't work, and, there's just misconceptions that these things are the things to do?
Yeah, I think the biggest one on social media is stop doing things because you think you're supposed to.
Ugh,
Like somebody tells you, oh, there's a trend on TikTok, you have to do it, or you have to dance, or you have to create a reel. If you're not doing it because you want to, or you're not doing it authentically, the people who follow you can smell it a mile away. So
mhm,
stop doing stuff you think you should do and find a
mhm,
way to do things that you want to do, that you really
mhm.
like, that make you feel good about how you're showing up.
Mhm. Now what about this one? This is one that, because I haven't, done people's social media for a while now because I kind of couldn't do it anymore. But, people that feel like they need to have a different persona
Yeah, yeah, I
online.
know a lot of people will come to me and they'll have multiple facets to their brand and they feel like they should have five different Facebook pages and five different Instagrams and all that stuff. And I really strongly believe you should be yourself. We are all complex individuals. You show up as you and you share the stuff that you care about. And maybe today you're talking to parents and tomorrow you're talking to teenagers. And the next day you're talking to guidance counselors. I'm just
Mhm,
thinking of one of my clients. You can have multiple audiences, you can
mhm,
have multiple business lines. You
mhm,
really just need to show up as you and
mhm.
not someone else.
Yeah, it transcends.
It does.
I had a client a couple of weeks ago that had 4 Instagram accounts, and I was like, "Why?"
Yeah, what a
And she went
full-time
in
job that would be.
Yeah, and she went into how this one was doing it and that one was doing it and this one told me. I was like, okay, stop. I said, I have two questions for you. Are you selling this business? And are you speaking to two entirely different four
Right.
entirely different audiences? And it was a no and a no. I said, okay, you're one person. Pick
Yeah.
one, get rid of the rest.
And most of the time, our business lines are fairly integrated in a way, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're, I don't know, you're a physical therapist who also sells Tupperware. Okay, those
Yeah,
are two totally different things.
exactly,
But for the most
exactly.
part, that's not the way we work.
But Tupperware probably makes some nice denture holders too.
It's true, you can carry you can put some of your TheraBands into one of the
Yeah, anything else? Like, any other things that,
in in my personal life, I have two stop doings that I'm doing this year, and
mhm.
I'm not completely successful. But one of them is stop comparing current Shannon to old Shannon. Like in that
Ooh,
musical, like I shouldn't be as good at, or maybe as good is not the wrong word, is the wrong word. I shouldn't be the person I was when I was 18. I don't have to look how I looked when I was 35. I don't have to go out and run 5 miles if I can't do that anymore. So I want to not compare current Shannon to old Shannon. And the second one is the self talk we all talk about all
mhm,
the time, right? Like rather than, I don't know, constantly trying to compare against a norm that you can't really live up to, or like, I'm famous for like, I'm really klutzy, so I'll bang into something and then I'll be like, oh, stupid Shannon, I can't believe you did that. And then I thought, I don't have to call myself stupid. I can just say,
mhm,
hey, who put that drawer there?
mhm.
So really, like those are things I'm really consistently working on.
Mhm.
The comparison. What is it? There's a saying like comparison is the thief of joy or something, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
get rid of the comparison to
yeah,
old Shannon
it is.
and stop negative self-talk.
And it's something that you've been probably doing for a long time, so it's an unlearning, like, and relearning of how you, like, communicate with yourself.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
how like my family talks to each other. So it's like you learn it as a kid too. Your mom
mhm,
says that kind of stuff or your dad or whatever. And you
yeah,
think, oh, well, we don't have to talk like that about ourselves. Wait.
yeah. Yeah, my family was brutal, like, if you walked in and said, "Oh, I have a headache," somebody had a brain tumor.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. Like you start now you can Google things too, which you don't want to be Googling stuff like that.
No, Doctor Google is a scary prospect. Alright, so now we talked about a bunch of things to stop doing. I mean, we talked a little bit about doing instead, but are there any things that you really wish people would adopt?
Yeah, I think, in my personal life, you know how people they develop a word for the year or whatever, and
Mhm,
I'm haphazard with that. I'm not very good at it. So I decided my words for this year that I'm doing instead is saying yes to things that I really want to do and no to
mhm,
things that I really don't want to do. I'm not
mhm,
the best with boundaries, but I'm trying really hard to put those boundaries in place because the more things you say yes to that you really want to do, then it saves space. If you keep saying
yeah,
yes to stuff you don't want to do, then you're giving all your time away to someone or something that you really don't want to do.
yeah,
Um, so I think for sure that, and as from a social media perspective, I think the best thing that you can do is share your own personal inspiration, mission, your story, what gets you out of bed in the morning, why you do what you do. I often joke with clients that, if you ran into a neighbor or a high school friend or something in the supermarket and they asked about what you were doing work wise, you'd be so excited to share all that stuff with them
mhm,
in person in the grocery aisle. So
mhm.
take that and put that on social media.
Yeah,
You
it's so
know,
funny. I used a very similar example when I used to do this. I would say, if there were people in line in front of you talking about something that you couldn't like, that about, you couldn't stay
yeah,
out of that conversation because you're so passionate about what you do. Like, how do you stand there and wait and not say anything?
right. Because you can
Um,
help. You have
yeah.
information that that person needs. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, because people were always, like, I would always say, like, learn how to listen online and just get into those conversations, but
Yeah.
I guess, like, that really came naturally to me, but it didn't translate into something that people understood. So that example helped them understand, like, how they can actually do that. But that's gonna take me into my next, topic, which is commenting as a strategy. because that is like the real life version of commenting as a strategy.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I think, when you show generosity by commenting on what people are
mm,
talking about, you should be connected with people online that you really care about. And
yeah,
so when they're doing something in the world that you care about, commenting and commenting in a substantive way, not just
yeah,
like, "Congratulations,
no,
you go
great praise.
girl, good for
Yeah.
you." Like, and even when someone comments to you, you should comment back
Yeah,
substantively, not just thanks. You
thanks,
should be
yeah.
saying, I thought so too, and here's
Mhm,
why. Or,
mhm.
something that, because you want to
Yeah,
keep that conversation going, right? Like you want to
definitely.
have a reason for that person to say, oh, good point. I didn't think of it that way. And you could say, I know I hadn't either. Like, really that
Yeah.
give and take.
I mean, that's how I built my whole business.
Yeah.
And, I've got relationships that span 15 years just from that.
Right. And it's great for visibility too, because
Yeah,
people see you as an active member of your community. You're giving
and
back, you're engaging, you care about what's out there. It's
and
important.
and it builds trust because you're not out there pushing your links and
Yeah.
saying, "Buy my stuff and download my PDF." You're out there really contributing and
Right.
helping, and, when it comes down to it, who are people gonna hire? They're gonna hire the people that they trust.
Yes.
So you'll be top of mind and, there is no sales process, it's a phone call.
It's so true. Yeah, I know, absolutely. All the best clients I've ever gotten, it's been a warm handoff from someone I know really well. It's been someone I've already worked with who's come back. It's, you need to be on social media so there's some there, but you need to be
Mhm.
building those relationships to really get
Yeah,
the gems.
absolutely. And so what is your, feeling on outsourcing social media?
I think that outsourcing can work if you have created a strategy. So
Mhm.
you have a strategy document, you have it written down, your mission, your vision, your tone of voice, how you want to show up as a business owner, what your business does, how it serves, all of those things, they really need to be explicit so that the person that's doing your social media for you is like your right hand person. They
Yeah.
know how you would answer, what you would say, what you care about. And it takes a little time to get that person
Mhm.
to be in that space. Most often, it's like a business owner will come to me, they won't have a strategy, and they'll have an office manager who's doing their social media.
Mhm.
And sometimes they have really good social media chops, but the business owner will say, oh, it's not bringing in business, or it doesn't really sound like
Mhm.
me. And I'll think, well, if you have to explicitly state, what does that mean? What's your tone of voice? How do you want to come across?
Yeah. It's definitely, a disconnect most of the
Yeah,
time. I've found that there's not that many people that can do it well.
it's true. And it takes time up front. So if you're a busy business owner and you're thinking you can just offload it for someone to do it for you, you have to have done all this upfront
Yeah,
stuff for that to
yeah,
work well.
absolutely. And it's an investment to do it right.
It is. Yep. It's an investment of time and money and
Yeah,
really finding someone you trust.
yeah. And, and you still need to be involved to some degree
Absolutely. Yeah. Or
because
you'll look down the path and the train will have gone off the tracks a little bit.
well, the thing is, you just everybody comes with a different perspective based on their combination of knowledge, experience, relationships. And, one of the examples that I used to give when I used to teach this a lot was, you can have Mari Smith doing your social media, but she like if there's somebody that you went to high school with that is sitting on a group of people that you want to meet or want to connect with, Mari Smith is never going to know that.
Right.
Only you are going to know that, or there's going to be something like just forming in the back of your brain a little bit, an idea that nobody knows about yet. But like when you're in there and you're looking at the conversations that are happening and you're seeing the connections, you're seeing the interconnections, like
Mm,
that brings things to the surface in your brain of like, combining those things, like how you know people and who else do they know and what are
right.
they talking about and what podcast are they sharing and where were they interviewed and, oh, they're speaking at that event. Maybe I could speak at that event too. Like all of that stuff, it's not gonna be somebody that's copying and pasting your social media that puts those things together.
It's so true. Yeah, you really can't take your hands off the steering wheel. You have to be, um, even if you have someone creating content for you, you really need
Mhm.
to be the reviewer, the editor, the
Yes.
person who's, tweaking. And then once it's out there, someone can comment on your behalf and engage on your behalf, but it's never
Mhm.
going to be as good as if it's you. Like you said, they don't know the connections that you know. They
Yeah.
don't know how two people that are commenting, how they, interact with each other and how they could be relating to each other.
Yeah, and I mean, like, when I've taught people how to do this, and when they see what they've been missing, they never go back
Yeah,
because, I mean, like, one interaction can have a massive change on, your impact, what you do, how you connect, opportunities. I mean, it's all right there.
yeah.
And, I often think of, in the book Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert talks about opportunities and how opportunities don't really wait for us if we don't take them.
Yes,
Go
I
to
love that
somebody
book so
else.
much. Yep,
They go to somebody else, and I think about that around social media so often because I feel like the opportunities are just all around us, and if we're not looking for them, we're gonna miss them, and they're gonna go somewhere else.
it's true, and someone else will tell that story or take that opportunity. Yeah, so
Yeah,
true.
yeah, and, it's not a competitive thing, it's just a thing, you know? It's
Yeah,
it's it's part of business, we have to be there, we're not a big, conglomerate, we're individuals who have personal brands, and
right.
we can't give away our voices. I feel so strongly about that. This is part of why I stopped doing social media because it just broke my heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have, do you have like, how do you get people to embrace the strategies? Because you focus primarily on strategy, right?
I do, and I work with an agency as well that has content creators, so we can do all the stuff that people want, but my perspective is, yeah, you have to value it. So you have
Yeah,
to believe that it's actually gonna make you get from point A to point B.
yeah.
Because like all of us, it's that definition of insanity, right? Doing the same
Mhm,
thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You have
mhm,
to be in this place of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to stop doing what I'm doing because it's not working.
mhm.
Let's really you have to come up
Come
this
up.
level up
Yeah.
here and not be so in the weeds that you think, but I posted 6 times last week. Why are the phones not ringing
Mhm.
off the hook? There
Yeah.
could be a million reasons why the phone's not ringing off the hook. It could be that you're on the wrong platform, that your ideal clients are not spending their time there. Or it could be that it's so much promotional stuff that people just tune it out. Or
Mhm.
it's often the mix of posts, the way that you're talking. And sometimes it can feel easier. Like you could create one email per week and carve that into 3 posts, schedule it, and then be done and just have to engage.
Mhm.
Instead of, I think a lot of people are overthinking, like, oh, I've got to be on every platform and post multiple times a day, and I've got to go live, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do
Mhm.
that. And if you're someone who's not comfortable going live, it's not going to go well for you. Or if you are super comfortable going live, that is a great way to get some content out on your website. I mean, on
Mhm.
your Facebook page to really just be talking to people directly. So I think that I'm all about making it simpler as opposed to harder. Like,
Yeah.
we all want to work smarter, not harder, all of
Mhm.
that, but really to have it feel a little bit more like a breath of fresh air. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it can be this easy. Yes, it
Yeah.
can.
It can, and, when it's done like that, like, when it's coming from a genuine place, it's so different, because, like, it's
Mm,
it's what I'm noticing now, and this is something, like, with people that have, you know, crossed over the divide to 50. I have clients I'm working with now that I know for 10, 12 years, and in the past wanted no part of what I was teaching. They were like, "Just
mm.
do my social, just do my social. I don't have time for that." They would rather have a colonoscopy than do their social media.
Yes. Or get a tooth pulled, right? That's
But
what I hear.
now
Yes.
they get it. They get it because they went down that path of they spent the money and they listened and they ran ads and they did all these things and none of it worked.
Yeah.
And, they've become more one with themselves. So they're realizing like, huh, maybe this is the way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're embracing it. I mean, I've got a couple of people that I worked with years and years and years ago and they came back.
That's great. And it's just, I mean, I think one of the great gifts of being over 50 is we are Gen X. We are not digital natives. We can live without our phones attached to our hands. So we can look at social media as a tool. It's a tool
Mhm.
that you can use when you want to use it. It's also a tool you can put down. You can get just as much business by showing up in person and having a speaking opportunity someplace, or running a
Mhm.
workshop, or all kinds of ways in person. There's a lot of
Yes.
different ways. And social media is just one tool in the toolbox.
Mhm. Absolutely. All right, so now we're talking about one tool in the toolbox, let's talk about another one. What are your thoughts on AI?
It's interesting. I like AI for brainstorming. I like it for the beginning of creativity. I don't like it for writing your words for you, or writing someone else's words. I get people are really busy. I just don't think that the writing is ever going to feel like it came from you. I know it, I know there are many different opinions on that, but I think AI could be great for brainstorming. Like, throw a few topics out there and see what AI gives back, and then shut it down and go someplace else, and then write something that you
Mhm.
think about, your
Mhm.
own unique idea that maybe hasn't been thought of before or expressed in that exact same way. So
Yeah.
I think that when when one of my sons was really little, he said to me one time, "I really like school a lot, but actually I just want to think my own thinks." And I think that's what we need to do as business owners. We need to think our own thinks before we let AI or all the digital noise tell us what we think. We need to spend time introspectively thinking about what we care about and what we want to
Mhm.
talk about. Use AI
Absolutely.
as a tool, but I would never use it to say, write my weekly newsletter or write my posts. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll have it like check my spelling or, check my grammar or, like if I'm writing something that's out of the norm of what I usually write, I'll ask it to polish it up. But
Yeah.
it's really good for strategy.
Mm.
And from on the PR side, I found that it's really good to find local media
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
because local media is really hard to nail down.
Yeah.
And I was able to pull together a local media list in like 4 different markets in about a half an hour for a client, and, that was days of work in the past, even with, like, media lists,
Right.
because you don't know the local media, so what how do you know what to search for?
Yeah. What questions to even ask, or how
Yeah.
to, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was, like, one of my favorite things, and, having it find, quotes or statistics or things like that, because it's like I always find, like, if you could take the knowledge that you already have deep expertise in,
Mm.
and then you can partner up with these tools to like have it cull through the massive information it has access to. And like you said, think through what you want before you ask for anything, because the more clear
Right.
you are in your communication with the tool, the better the result is that you get back. And it doesn't
Yeah,
need to be
absolutely.
like a highly technical prompt. It just needs to be thought through.
Mm.
Like, just if you hired an intern, I mean, you wouldn't just like toss something at them and say, "Hey, do this." You would
Yes,
have to give them
exactly.
detailed instructions on, you know, how to do it. So it's almost like you have to create these little mini SOPs for
Mm.
the AI tools to get what you want. But I mean, I've had really good success with creating really good stuff because I partnered with it. I didn't just throw stuff at it.
Yeah, that's a nice way to look at it, partnering with it. It's true. It needs to come from inside of you.
Mhm. Yeah. All right, so we are rounding up on our 30 minutes together. I end all of these interviews with leave us with a wisdom bomb, something that you want somebody to know. It can be about social media, it could be about anything, but just
Oh
some
my
little bit of
goodness.
wisdom.
A wisdom bomb. You know, One of my mantras that I use when I'm feeling a lot of self-doubt about anything is, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? And I really feel like midlife is that time when you kind of have to embrace that. You
Mm.
don't have to be perfect to do something. You don't have to already be good at it. You don't have to have everybody think you're amazing all the time, right? You just have to be a little brave. You just have to have a little courage and think, okay, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? I'm just going to do it. And so I'm really trying to incorporate that into my life right now.
I really like that. I really like that. It feels kind too. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
pressured.
No, because there's a place for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So whatever you're saying that about yourself, you might be the only one that can do it the way that you do it. You might
Mhm.
not know that, but you might be.
I like that. That's a really nice place to end. So I want to say thank you.
Thank
Connect
you.
with Shannon at serendipitysocialmedia.com. I don't know why that word doesn't want to come out of my mouth. And she's also on the Real 50 Over 50 webpage. And she is here on this interview. So if you have any questions, tag us and we will come back and keep the conversation going. And we will be back on Friday with a special interview with our 100th member. We have a wisdom panel this month on women's leadership. And then we also have our weekly interviews every Wednesday at noon Eastern time. So come back and join us for as many as you can and bring a friend with you. And please connect with Shannon because I love her approach to social media. So she's got my seal of approval, my 50-50 seal of approval.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.